All right, Paul Crawley, a job interview here. Would you like to become a GM of a football club? Has that ever been on your bucket list?
Michael Chammas, eh? Well, you know what? When I first heard of that, I thought, what? But then the more thought I put into it, I thought, well, he's a pretty talented guy. He's got good connections in the game. He's driven to succeed. I think a lot of football bosses over the years have underestimated the challenge of dealing with the media, and Chammas will know that. He's got great allies in Volandis and obviously Abdo that are going to help him along. And I just think it comes down to knowing he's got to get a good coach. He's got to get an experienced coach. He's probably got to get an experienced recruitment officer. To make it, and he's obviously going to be learning on the run, isn't he? Like so many things to learn, but if he has the right coach with him...
But it's a brand new club, so there is so many moving parts to this.
So he's got full power, full autonomy to make those decisions.
So he's not... So they've got Catherine Harris, they've got, is it Lorna McPherson in the CEO's job. So he's got two people above him that are obviously qualified business people.
But from a football perspective, to make the football decisions.
Football perspective.
Yeah.
He seems to be at the top of the food chain, unless, of course, he was to go and get, or, you know, a person like a Brad Arthur or, hypothetically speaking,
yeah, but
Ivan
he will make
Cleary.
that decision.
Well, he'd have to be a part of it. The NRL runs that club, don't forget
so
that.
So you've worked with some GMs. From your perspective, how integral is that role in setting up a club, and do you need someone with a lot more experience on the board to do that?
Look, from my perspective, yes, it's absolutely a crucial part of the success of a football club. You know, for all the raps that Craig Bellamy gets, Frank Panisi does exactly the same thing that Craig does on and off the football field, but he does it in the football department. So that's been a marriage over a long period of time that's worked. So yes, it's crucial. There's one thing that I think the Commission, the NRL, and particularly the new sort of franchises, the game's changed a lot in recent times, and I feel like there needs to be some footy IQ, because football and rugby league is the core business of these new franchises. Winning is everything, and if you get off to a really good start, it helps everything else fall into place. So I think some of the decisions based on that needs to be some contemporary voices. If I'm Andrew Abdo or Peter Volandis, I'm going to go get some recently retired players that have skin in the game, know good strategy, understand the game, and invest time in them, and then plug them into underneath Chammas or support him in that capacity, because they need to get. There's a lot of money on the line for the PNG team, and then the investment. You can't walk away from that. But if they don't get good people who care about the game and are willing to do whatever it takes to make PNG work, you're just going to get players that are taking the tax exemption, that are on 1 or 2 year deals, taking their money and running, and not particularly caring about embedding something in that country for rugby league to stand still for 10, 20, 30 years. So I think that the important part for Chammas, I don't know Chammas all that well, but invest in people, get good rugby league intelligence in the business, and then everything falls all off the back of that. Don't get guns for hire that just want to take the tax exemption, live there for a year or two and say, you know what, I'm out of here, I'm going.
Yeah.
But that's the biggest selling point, isn't it? Because you got to look at PNG too. At its core, aside from the fact it's an NRL team, it's a political decision. Like, that's where it's being funded from, you know. The government is funding this team to have a footprint in PNG to try and, avert the Chinese crisis. So that's why it started. And it's a very political decision, but ultimately, if you have a team up there that can't find its way to success, it'll be a disaster, won't it?
Well, that's why I would invest in people who genuinely care about the game and want to embed it there, because if you've just got people that are taking that exemption and cashing a cheque, they're cashing that and getting out in a year or two. Get some people that genuinely care and are going to stand there in front of all the adversity that it's going to take.
How do you find those people?
That's Chammas' job.
Because that is the selling point. The selling point for that club at the moment is that it's tax-free dollars.
Yeah. So, look, most people will say, go and get, the top end of the talent. Get some talent in and win football games, but find some genuine good people that are going to.
Well, the head coach has to be the top of the pile. So who is available that is going to do all those things you just said? Who is going to care about PNG and making it a success when it comes into the competition? Who's available?
Well, given what's happened at South in recent days, you'd say that just strikes Bennett off the list, doesn't it? Because he'll be extending his stay there to align with what he wants to do. Brad Arthur's a good coach that is on the market. I thought the job that he did at Parramatta when he first took over a wooden spoon club that was in absolute chaos at its boardroom level, and he single-handedly held that club together and took them to a grand final in 2022. He's a capable coach. There's a lot of good young coaches out there. A guy like Willie Peters is obviously wanting to come back. I just don't know if you could... I don't know if you could give that job to a young coach. Like, I would see the Clearys as, that would be the dream come true, wouldn't it? If you could get Ivan and get Nathan, and there's the opportunity for Jet to go there too, you would think that would be a dream come true for PNG, knowing what they know, but is it... is it a possibility?
Is that something the NRL
I don't know
need to
if
get
it would
involved
be.
in things like this and make sure that
Who would you see?
It's on them to make this a success. They've made this call to.
Craig's
it's a huge
another guy.
call.
Would he?
Yeah. Well, I think Peter and Andrew have obviously put a lot of responsibility into Chammas, and that is his responsibility.
Yeah.
It's not ours to,
No.
investigate the world and find who the best person is. That's his job. Like, he will live and die by the decisions that he makes, and he needs to get good people who care about rugby league, not just guns for hires. They're going to take the cash and run.
Yeah.